You and I right now are going to have a conversation about your limitless potential. We're going to talk about how much you are capable of doing, being, giving, having, loving, impacting, and growing. And the reason we're going to have this conversation because it's episode 81, Limitless Potential. What's up, guys? I'm Nicholas Trevillian. You know me as Nicky T, and welcome to another episode of the show. I'm stoked to unpack this. So what inspired today's episode and why it's on the whiteboard? I came in here, I was kind of brainstorming, what did I want to talk about today for you guys on today's episode? And I got a text from somebody yesterday, and he said, hey man, I'm loving the podcast, kind of binge watching or listening, but there hasn't been an episode in a few months. What's going on? Like, you're going to continue with the show? And I said, hey, absolutely. I've actually been living the Triumphant podcast the past few months, and I've been out speaking, writing my new book. We're in the middle of the launch for my business, and that's what inspired this episode. I thought no better way to come back on with you guys today as like a re-kickoff episode for 81 than to talk about limitless potential. See, here's what I know for a fact in my world. You're only as good as what you know, right? Like, our exposure to the world is only so much. And I hate to say it, but we tend to put our own ceilings on top of ourselves. We tend to put ourselves in our own cage, and then you realize that you're holding the key the whole time. Let me say that again. We tend to put ourselves in our own cage to only realize that we were holding the key the whole time. That we made the cage, we have the key out. And what am I getting at with that? You will only grow income-wise to the point of what you think is possible and realistic for yourself. And the only way to get out of that certain cage is to hear stories of people outside of another cage doing it at a different level and growing at a different level. You only know there's so much capability in your body with what you currently have experienced till you see somebody else, you're like, damn, she's in shape, right? I'm the same way with that. And so I'm gonna unpack some personal stories that I've experienced over the past few months. And hopefully today, the goal is to expand your horizon, expand your mind and go, wait, what? So how to start that? I guess the 4-minute mile story. I don't know if you've ever heard of the 4-minute mile story, but they said a human body could not run a mile in under 4 minutes and had never been done. There's stories of people getting chased by bulls and stuff, and they could never do it, right? And Roger Bannister, he didn't start training physically, he started training mentally. Let that sink in. So he's a runner, dude. And a mile's tough, dude. And that's 4 laps around the track. But what he did was, in his mind, he started envisioning that this was possible. See, if you can see it in your mind, you will hold it in your hand. That's one of my favorite Bob Proctor quotes ever. And on May 6, 1954, Roger Bannister ran a mile in 3 minutes and 59.4 seconds. Had never been done. He rehearsed it in his mind. He expanded his horizon. He did it. And then 2 months later, a bunch of other guys did it, which is wild. And now it's commonplace for even high school kids to run a 4-minute mile, which in 1954 or 1956 wasn't even possible. And I think that's so powerful about limitless potential. And see, we don't think things are possible until we hear a story or see somebody that's gone and done it, a 4-minute mile, then you know it's possible. And I think in my world, and just come into my world for a second, I don't know about you, I didn't grow up with a ton of money. We weren't millionaires, right? I grew up on a dirt road in a single wide trailer that my dad bought. I'll never forget it for $3,500. A lot of love in that house, a lot of Frito pie. I don't know if you grew up on Frito pie where you had Fritos and chili and cheese on top of it. A lot of love from Pop, I'll tell you that. But I had never been exposed to money or abundance or what this world was or how big this world was. And I pride myself now with any content that I produce as I talk to young Nicholas at 17, 18 years old. I talk to young Nicholas at 21 as a business owner, 25 as a business owner. So hopefully you can relate to some of my stories in the way that I share them. And that's what I'm going to do today. The past few months for me have been this world of just realizing how huge this world really is, and how much abundance is really, really out there, and how capable you are of doing the most incredible things on planet Earth, and how capable your mind is of dreaming up anything that you want and having that vision come to reality in your 3D. I've been in this journey for really 3 months now about creating the ultimate vision for my life. And here's what's wild. Every vision that I have had is showing up in my current reality. As Bob Proctor says, if you can think it in your mind, you will hold it in your hand. But what's been happening for me and what I'm going to share with you right now are some experiences that made me look at the world and go, oh, this is limitless. There is abundance everywhere. I'll share with you a couple stories. These are personal stories. I'm not bragging about my life or anything. I just want to tell you what's going on with me because I think we can relate to story. I want to give you some 4-minute miles that I've experienced in my life, some 4-minute miles that some friends have shared with me and how they've expanded me, got me out of my own jail cell. See, 3 months ago, I thought life was great. I was in good shape. I was making a good income. I had a good business, and I didn't realize what I was capable of. I didn't realize that there was a whole limitless version of me out there that could do more, be more, give more, love more, impact more. And so I started really thinking about, wow, God, what would I have to do to have that body? And I went to work on it. What would I have to do to have that level of contribution? And I started doing that. What would I have to do to be that type of a speaker, that type of an author? And I started going to work on that. Here's what's happened. Like, see, I thought my income was here. And I was like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. You know, here's my income. I just had a moment. I want to invite you in very emotionally. 3 weeks ago, I had done what was my monthly income goal, like forever. And I did it in one day. Like the last payment came through. I couldn't process in my head that this was real life. And I was so emotional. I started crying. The last bank transfer came through and I started crying, like emotional, because I was so excited for myself. I was so excited for what I had built, but I was so excited to share with you what I'm going to share with you. What was once a dream is now a daily occurrence for me. We are absolutely limitless. And the only restrictions that I put on myself were what I put on myself. And let that sink in. See, a year ago when I set that income goal, it's, oh, here's the goal. What I didn't realize was I was the one capping that threshold. I actually literally put myself in a jail cell and said, hey, here's the most you could ever do, because I had never expanded past that. And we hit that. And what I did in true Nikki T style, right? I did go to some fancy steak dinner. I don't drink. I'm 900 days sober now. I had a frozen pizza in my freezer and I sat down with me and my dog and I made this frozen pizza. It's the best damn frozen pizza I've ever had. $4.99. And I watched the new Superman about limitless potential. Like, let that sink in, right? Like, I had a candle burning and I started crying. And I was just so stoked to see that I was actually finally holding the key and breaking out of that cage. And I went, wait, that used to be my monthly income goal. Now I did it in a day. What's possible? I'm limitless. I'm not sharing that story with you to talk about myself. You guys, please understand this. I'm sharing with you what's possible. Then I talked to a mentor. And what I had done in a day was like the craziest thing for me. He had just made 300 grand the month prior. $300,000. And I just went, limitless. Wait, what? Okay, here's where I'm at. Here's where you're at. 4-minute mile. Oh, that's possible. Oh, you're like me. You walk like me. Whoa, let that sink in. You are limitless. And what my goal with episode 81 here is to start really expanding what you think is possible. I just shared this with a student of ours. I teach a lot of mindset inside of my inner circle. Yeah, I teach some badass marketing stuff. And I had this conversation about their own limitless potential and how you are worthy. You are worthy of having it all. You're worthy of having the income, the love, the relationships, the time off, the revenue, the business. You're allowed all of it, right? And I had done this on one of our Monday Zoom calls. She calls me 4 hours later. It was very emotional. And she's crying. And she's like, Nikki, I took what you said to heart. I went and I upped our prices because I am worthy. And I just landed a $14,000 sale. That was double what they had ever earned. They were normally earning $7,000 a deal. She now doubled her income from one mindset shift that I gave her. And she called me crying. I was emotional. I was crying. I actually sent her crumble cookies to celebrate. And it was a mindset shift. And what I'm trying to get you to understand is that was a cage she had created. I gave her a key. She took the key, unlocked it, and boom, there's the next level. And now that's her new normal. What's crazy is when you think about that, that's what she just did. Well, now could she do that for 3 more clients? She is absolutely limitless and you are absolutely limitless. Come into a couple more stories. I just had a roofing buddy of mine. He just had 110 job scheduled. 110. Let that sink in. Each job is worth $15,000 for their business. You have people out there struggling to get one. They have 110. Why I'm sharing that with you? Yes, I'm pumped from my friend. However, I need you to expand because the stories we are telling ourselves are going to become the reality that you are going to live. I'm here to tell you stories of limitless abundance and potential. So your brain goes, oh, wait, that's possible. Yes, that's a 4-minute mile. Welcome to today's show. That is a 4-minute mile. In my life, it's been so wild. So I just wrote the new book, You Are Triumphant. I'm so proud of my book. If you don't, I think I have one here. Hold on. If you don't have a copy yet, go to triumphantbook.com. This is the first 11 chapters. This is the friends and family OG first run. I rushed this out for a speech. So go to triumphantbook.com, just that word, triumphantbook.com. Download the first 11 chapters. Let me tell you what's happened. 2 years ago, I didn't think that was possible. Okay, the book. And I wrote the book. I gave a speech around it. I kid you not. I'm not even 2 sips through a bottle of water after speech, sweaty. A gal comes up. She goes, hey, loved your speech. I want to book you as a speaker. I was like, wait, what? Okay. 2 days later, I get a phone call. Buddy goes, hey, Nick, I saw the clips from that speech. We want you to be the keynote for us in Dallas. And I was like, yeah, let's freaking go. He goes, oh, by the way, I read part of the book. I love what you're talking about. I don't know if you know this. I was on a mission trip in Africa. And I go, okay, cool, sure. And he's like, but I'm friends with the pastor there and they speak English. And I think your book would be great for this village in Africa. We're going to pack a suitcase of your books. Me. And we're gonna take them over to Africa to this village and you can help inspire them. And I just went, what? Huh? I'm from a tiny dirt road in Coyote Springs, which you've never heard of because that's outside of Prescott, which is outside of Prescott Valley, which is outside of Coyote Springs. It's like 2 hours north of Phoenix. Tiny town. Me, Africa. And I just went, like, the phone call ended and I just started praying. I was like, God, you are so good. Like, there is so much abundance in this world. A girlfriend of mine said, hey, Nikki, can I get 20 extra copies of your book? And I had them in the car. And I said, sure. So we're having dinner. I gave them to her and she said, yeah, I'm working on getting men rehabilitated. I'm taking these books into a prison to teach your 30-day challenge, your Triumphant Foundations, and your Triumphant 100. And I just went, wait, what? Never in a million years in my little brain would I have cooked up some of the abundance that's happened to me in the past 2 months. Again, I am not sharing this with you to be like, oh, look at me. That is not who I am. If you've been through any of my content, you know this. What I'm trying to stress to you is, do you realize how big the freaking world is? There are millions and millions and millions and millions of people out there that can watch your content, consume your content, that you can help, that you can serve, that you can sell a course to, that you can help. Like let that sink in. If you're a local home service business, you realize that your city is not the 500 followers you have. There are millions of people out there with roofs or houses or toilets or landscaping or pools. Let that sink in. I got a phone call from a +44 number. I don't know if you know what that means. I just learned what that means because it cost me $150 to answer this phone call. I got a phone call from my friend Billy in the UK. And Billy had followed me online. He was on my email list and he calls and he says, Nick, crack on. They say crazy things over there in the UK. They say crack on, they say brilliant a lot. And Billy has a heavy accent. And he's like, hey, Nikki, we've been following your content. We want to join your program. I said, oh, okay, cool. So I talked to him for like an hour. Sure enough, the very next month, Verizon's like, oh, we're going to charge you for that. So I learned that you cannot call the UK. Anyway, to make a long story short, what started for me as a little coaching business in my office and, you know, a little Zoom calls is now a United States-wide program. We have clients in all of these states. And now I have a client in the UK. My coaching program went international. We're onboarding our second international client in the UK. They love me over there in the UK. One day I'm gonna fly out, get some fish and chips with all my clients. I had to add, I called Verizon. I said, hey, can I add international calling to my cell phone bill? She's like, yeah, we have a program for that. So me, little Nikki, adding UK as a calling plan onto my program to serve the clients that I now have worldwide. Let that sink in. What started as a little coaching business is now something I'm living my wildest dreams right now. Limitless potential. I'm not bragging about myself, please. What I'm trying to stress to you is this: you are capable of so much and doing so much and becoming so much and having so much when you really realize that you're holding a key to your limitless potential. And I didn't realize this 90 days ago. I didn't. I was maybe afraid to share my voice more, maybe afraid to share my message more, maybe afraid of that growth. And in 3 months, I have collapsed years of what I never dreamed was possible into 3 months of living. And why I'm so passionate about this for you is I want you to look at your current life and know that where you're at is just fine. Where you're at is just a reflection of the thoughts that you held over the past 30, 60, 90 days, 6 months, and a year. That's all it simply is. And the way to get out of the current reality that you're in the current jail cell that you have created, another level of income, another level of health, another level of fitness, another level of life, another level of love, is to just start holding different thoughts and know that it's possible. And know that it's possible. I went to Hawaii last month with a client of mine. He's made $1 million in my system. And we're driving around Hawaii, swimming with sea turtles, jumping off. Him and I we jumped off waterfalls. It was awesome. Snorkeled the volcano. It was insane. And it was interesting watching him too, because he comes from a tiny town as well. And he had just made $1 million in the past year. And even almost him having that conversation of like, wait, this is possible. Yeah, dude, it's possible. And we got on a plane and you got on that and then they took you to paradise and now we're here in the jungle, like we're just living life, right? And I remember talking to him and his wife and he's like, it's so weird. I almost don't feel like I'm worthy of this. Yes, you are. That's what I want you to understand. No matter what you've done, no matter where you've come from, no matter what you've messed up or fucked up in your life, you're allowed to have everything that you want. So welcome to the Triumphant Podcast with Nikki T. I started this show as a way to have real conversations with real people about real life shit. And that is more alive today than ever. As I was talking to him, almost like you watch the wheels turning. And I said, brother, you're worthy. You're worthy of coming back. And I had shared something with him. And I said, you realize with where your business is at right now, you could pull the plug and move here tomorrow. Wait, what? I said, you understand that you have employees now, you have Facebook ads coming out, you've scaled your business, you have money in the bank. You could say, bye, get on a plane, come here and live here for the next 2 years. And he was like, oh, what? I could. Yeah, a plane ticket was $500 out. It's interesting, when I moved from Phoenix to San Diego, I just got my Jeep and drove. There was no lock on the freeway out. There's not a lock. Like in the United States of America, you can go anywhere. And if you have a passport, you can go a lot of places, right? Yeah, you might have to go get the passport done. Remember I moved here and a friend called me, he goes, well, you can't do that. I said, what do you mean? I'm here. And he's like, well, no, you have a house there. Yeah, they can be sold. And he goes, but you're there now. I know. Yes, I live here now. Like, yes, there are surfboards here. This is what I do now. And he was like, but you can't. I said, well, no, I just did. And that was interesting to see his thought process. And I realized he thinks that there's a lock on the freeway out. Like driving out, there's like a big border that says, do not pass go. Guess what? You can pass go. You could get a motorhome tomorrow and go drive all 50 states if you wanted to. I don't know, find a way to Alaska, go up through Canada, right? You can get on an airplane and go anywhere. Like, let that sink in. You could walk into the airport and go, I want to go to China. I want to go to Australia. It's funny. Me and my college roommate went to Thailand and we spent a day in Tokyo. And it was the craziest thing for me. Like we got on the plane, I went to sleep, we hung out, I woke up and I'm in Tokyo. And I'm like looking around, like, what? It's just a different world. You can get on a plane, go to Australia. You can get on a plane, go to Costa Rica. You get on a plane, go where you want to go. You get in the car and drive where you want to drive. You go build what you want to build. This is what I'm trying to stress to you. And you hold the key to do anything limitless that your heart desires. Do you want to start a business? Do you want to start a clothing brand? Like anything that your heart desires. Do you want to start content or a podcast or write a book? It is up to you solely to decide, I want to do it, then follow through. Do you want to go get fit? Do you want to give back to your church? Do you want to create a nonprofit? Do you want to dig wells across the world? I don't know. That's the most beautiful thing about you being you, having your heart, having your soul, having your mission, and having your passion. And what I want you guys to understand today from all of this, keyword limitless. You are so limitless, it is unbelievable. The goals that you have, the dreams that you have, the passions that you have, all of it is not only possible, it is doable. There are people around you doing it. There are 4-minute miles being ran, and you deserve to have it all. You deserve to have the life of your dreams. You deserve to have the relationship of your dreams. You deserve to have the bank account of your dreams, the business of your dreams, and all that abundance is around you. My goal today was just to share with you some examples of 4-minute miles that I've experienced in my life. A friend called. He said, how's things going? I said, it's crazy, man. I said, I'm living what I dreamed of. And what's crazy is that thing that keeps coming back to me is that's just a warm-up, y'all. The lives that we can touch, the conferences I'm getting ready to host, the lives that we're going to touch with this book, the places that we are going are limitless. You are limitless. You are worthy. You are capable, and you deserve to have it all. The world is abundant, my friends. Go get yours. I love you. I believe in you. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye.